The bright lights of Seoul's science district dimmed as night fell across the city. Dr. Yeon-mi stood at her apartment window, looking at the strange new ships that floated above the skyline. 6 months had passed since the aliens came to Earth, and life had changed forever. Yeon-mi checked the time. Her new roommate would arrive soon. The Earth Science Council had paired human scientists with alien researchers to help both sides learn from each other. As a top genetic researcher, Yeon-mi had been matched with a scientist from the Lumi species. The door alert chimed. Yeon-mi took a deep breath and pressed the entry button. The door slid open to reveal a tall, blue-skinned figure. The Lumi stood nearly 7 feet tall with 4 large eyes that blinked one after another. Its skin had a slight glow that shifted colors with its movements. "Greetings. I am Tello, genetic specialist of the Lumi Homeworld Science Academy," the alien said through a small translator device on its chest. "You must be Dr. Yeon-mi." "Yes, welcome to Earth," Yeon-mi said, trying to hide her nervousness. "Please come in." Tello ducked to enter the apartment. The alien moved with surprising grace for its size, carrying only one small bag. Its 4 eyes looked around the apartment with obvious curiosity. "Your living space is much warmer than our habitats," Tello noted, "and you have many plant specimens inside. We call them houseplants," Yeon-mi explained. "They help clean the air, and many humans find them calming." Tello reached out with long, thin fingers to touch a leaf. "Interesting. On our world, we keep living things outside our homes." Yeon-mi showed Tello to the guest room that had been fitted with a special sleep platform designed for Lumi body structure. "I hope this will be comfortable for you." "It is adequate," Tello said. "Thank you for sharing your home." After settling in, they sat in the living room. Yeon-mi made tea for herself and offered Tello a special drink created for Lumi biology. "Our science council says you're here to study human genetics," Yeon-mi said. "May I ask why Lumi are so interested in humans?" Tello's skin shifted to a deeper blue. "My people face a serious problem. For the past 10 generations, fewer and fewer Lumi children have been born. Our scientists believe it is because our genetics have become too perfect." "Too perfect?" Yeon-mi asked, confused. "Yes. The Lumi have lived for thousands of years with advanced technology. We removed all genetic diseases and weaknesses, but now we think this has made our species too fixed. We cannot adapt to new challenges." Yeon-mi nodded slowly. "I see. And humans still have a wide range of genetic variation." "Exactly," Tello said, leaning forward. "Your species is young compared to many in the galaxy, but you have survived on one planet through ice ages, warming periods, diseases, and many other challenges. Your DNA shows remarkable adaptive abilities." Yeon-mi felt a spark of professional interest. "So you want to study how human genetics might help the Lumi?" "If you are willing to collaborate," Tello said. "We believe human genetic diversity might hold the key to saving our species." The next morning, Yeon-mi took Tello to her lab at the Seoul Genetic Research Center. The building had been modified to accommodate alien visitors, with wider doorways and special air filtering systems. Yeon-mi's colleagues stared as she led the tall blue alien through the hallways. Aliens had been on Earth for months, but seeing one up close still amazed most humans. In the lab, Yeon-mi showed Tello her current research project. "I've been studying how human cells repair DNA damage after radiation exposure." Tello's 4 eyes widened. "This is exactly what interests me. Luma cells have lost much of this repairability over generations of genetic engineering." Yeon-mi pulled up her research data on the main screen. "Look at these repair sequences. They're highly variable between different human populations." Tello moved closer to the screen, skin pulsing with excited blue patterns. "Fascinating. Our repair sequences are identical in all Lumi. This lack of variation may be why our birth rates are falling." They worked together all day, comparing human and Lumi genetic samples. Yeon-mi found herself forgetting that Tello was an alien as they discussed scientific ideas. The Lumi was brilliant and asked thoughtful questions. As evening approached, they returned to Yeonmi's apartment. Tello carried several data tablets containing human genetic information. I have studied 17 human civilizations in our historical database, Tello said as they ate dinner. But meeting real humans has shown me how limited that knowledge was. Your species continues to perplex me. Yeonmi smiled. In what way? You are technologically primitive compared to most coalition species, yet your biological adaptability is extraordinary. You have survived on one planet with limited resources and constant environmental changes. We had to adapt to survive, Yeonmi said simply. Tello's skin rippled with a new pattern. The coalition paired us because your genetics work might help with my species' fertility crisis. I did not expect to be so fascinated by humans themselves. Yeonmi felt a new respect for her alien roommate. I'm learning a lot from you too. I never thought my research would help an alien species. Your DNA carries solutions we've sought for generations, Tello replied, the translator capturing the reverence in the alien's voice. That night, as Yeonmi prepared for bed, she looked at the stars through her window. Somewhere out there was Tello's homeworld, facing extinction without help. The thought that humans might save an advanced alien civilization filled her with pride. This unexpected partnership was just the beginning. 3 weeks had passed since Tello moved in with Yeonmi. Every morning, they walked together to the lab. The tall blue alien drawing stares from people on the street. Yeonmi had grown used to the curious looks. She no longer saw Tello as strange, just different. In the lab, they made progress studying the differences between human and Lumi DNA. Yeonmi had cleared a special area where they could work side by side. Their research tables were covered with samples and equipment from both Earth and the Lumi homeworld. Look at this, Yeonmi said one morning, pointing to her screen. Human DNA has these repair mechanisms that activate when damaged. They're like tiny workers that fix breaks in our genetic code. Tello leaned forward, all 4 eyes focused on the screen. Remarkable. Lumi used to have similar mechanisms, but our ancestors edited them out thousands of years ago. They thought these were inefficient. Why would they remove them? Yeonmi asked. Tello's skin rippled with blue patterns that Yeonmi had learned meant sadness. Our ancestors believed perfect DNA should not need repairs. They thought by removing these messy repair systems, they were making us better. Yeonmi frowned. But that's not how biology works. Living things need to adapt and change. Yes, Tello agreed. We are learning this lesson too late. Without these repair systems, our DNA has become brittle. Errors build up with each generation. That evening in the apartment, they continued their discussion over dinner. Yeonmi had prepared a simple meal of rice and vegetables for herself. Tello ate nutrient blocks designed for Lumi biology. I wonder, Yeonmi said thoughtfully, if we could somehow teach Lumi cells how to repair themselves again, using human repair systems as a model. Tello set down the nutrient block. You think this is possible? I don't know, Yeonmi admitted, but it's worth trying. The next day, they began a new experiment. Yeonmi carefully extracted the genetic instructions for DNA repair from human cells. Tello prepared Lumi cell samples in special containers. We need to find a way to deliver the human repair instructions to the Lumi cells, Yeonmi explained to her lab colleagues who had gathered to watch. One of the other scientists, Dr. Han, looked doubtful. Can alien cells even read human genetic instructions? Our biology evolved on different worlds. The basic language of life is more universal than you might think, Tello responded. All known life in the galaxy uses similar genetic codes. The differences are like dialects of the same language. They worked late into the night. Yeonmi created tiny packages of human DNA repair instructions. Tello used a Lumi device to introduce these packages into the Lumi cell samples. Now we wait, Yeonmi said, setting the timer. While waiting, they took a break in the small rest area of the lab. Yeonmi made coffee and Tello drank a blue liquid from a thermal container. In my culture, Tello said, scientists work alone. Sharing ideas is considered a weakness. Mai was surprised. Really? On Earth, the best science usually comes from collaboration. I am beginning to see the wisdom in your approach, Tello admitted. Working with you has taught me more in weeks than I learned in years on my homeworld. The timer beeped. They rushed back to check their experiment. Mai looked through the microscope first, then stepped back with wide eyes. Tello, look at this. The Lumi bent down to peer through the lens. For a moment, Tello was silent. Then the alien skin flashed with bright pulses of blue and green light. It's working, Tello exclaimed. The Lumi cells are beginning to use the human repair mechanisms. Mai quickly checked the data readings. Not perfectly, but yes, they're accepting the instructions. The cells are repairing themselves in ways Lumi cells haven't done for thousands of years. That night, they celebrated in the apartment. Mai opened a bottle of champagne she had been saving for a special occasion. She explained the human tradition of toasting success to scientific discovery, she said, raising her glass. Tello raised the special cup designed for Lumi hands, and to unexpected partnerships. As they enjoyed their drinks, Tello's communication device chirped. The alien answered it and spoke rapidly in the musical Lumi language. When the call ended, Tello turned to Mai with all four eyes blinking in sequence. That was the Lumi High Council, Tello explained. News of our progress has reached my homeworld. They are interested. That's good, right? Mai asked. Yes and no, Tello said. They want results quickly. The birth crisis is worse than I told you. Last year, only 17 new Lumi were born on my entire homeworld. Mai gasped. Out of how many? A population of 12 million, Tello answered. The weight of their work suddenly felt heavier to Mai. An entire species might depend on their research. The next morning, they returned to the lab with renewed purpose. Mai had thought of a new approach during the night. Instead of just giving Lumi cells human repair mechanisms, she explained, what if we could reactivate the dormant repair genes that Lumi already have? They must still be in your DNA somewhere, just switched off. Tello's skin brightened. Yes, our genetic archives show the location of these genes. They were silenced, not removed. They spent days searching through the Lumi genetic code. Mai used techniques from her work on human genetic diseases. Tello provided knowledge of Lumi biology that no human could know. Finally, late one evening when most staff had gone home, they found what they were looking for. There, Mai pointed at the screen. That sequence looks like a switch that turns off the repair genes. Tello quickly compared it to the ancient Lumi genetic records. You're right. This is exactly where our ancestors made their changes. They looked at each other, both understanding the importance of this moment. If we can turn these genes back on, Mai began. We might save my species, Tello finished. As they worked into the night, the lights of Seoul shone through the lab windows. Human and alien, working together to solve a problem neither could fix alone. The days turned into weeks as Mai and Tello worked to fix the broken Lumi genes. Their lab became their second home. Sometimes they stayed so late that they slept on cots in the break room instead of going back to the apartment. I think we're getting close, Mai said one morning as she checked the latest test results. She had dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep, but she felt more excited than tired. Tello stood nearby, skin glowing a soft blue in the lab's bright lights. The genetic switch is responding to our treatment. The repaired genes are showing signs of activity. They had created a special compound that could turn on the ancient Lumi repair genes. The compound combined elements from human DNA with signals that Lumi cells could understand. It was like creating a key for a lock that had been closed for thousands of years. Dr. Han brought them coffee and the special Lumi drink that Tello enjoyed. You too should take a break, he suggested. You've been working for 18 hours straight. We can't stop now, Mai said, taking a sip of coffee. We're too close. Tello's skin pulsed with patterns of agreement. My people have waited generations for this solution. A few more hours without sleep is nothing. They returned to their work. Me adjusted the compound formula, while Tello prepared fresh Lumi cell samples. The lab was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional beep of timers. Ready for another test? Me asked when the new compound was prepared. Tello nodded. This time I have a good feeling. They carefully introduced the compound to the Lumi cells and started the monitoring equipment. Then they waited, both staring at the screen that would show any changes in the cells. Minutes passed with no reaction. Me felt her hopes starting to fade. Maybe we need to, she began, but Tello suddenly pointed at the screen. Look, something is happening. The display showed activity in the Lumi cells. The dormant repair genes were lighting up one by one as they activated. The cells began repairing damage that had been ignored for thousands of Lumi years. It's working, Mai whispered, afraid to speak too loudly, as if it might stop the miracle they were witnessing. Tello's entire body glowed brighter, the blue skin now pulsing with waves of light. The genes are fully activating. They remember their ancient purpose. They watched in amazement as the Lumi cells transformed. Under the microscope, they could see the cells becoming healthier, stronger, and more responsive. We need to test if this affects reproduction, Tello said. That's the real challenge. Mi nodded and prepared specialized cells that could test reproductive function. The compound was added to these cells, and again they waited. This time, they didn't have to wait long. The reproductive cells responded even more strongly than the regular cells. Within hours, the test showed a 300% increase in fertility potential. Mi's hands shook as she recorded the results. Tello, this could actually work for your people. Tello stood very still, all four eyes fixed on the data. My entire life, I've heard that the birth crisis would end our species. Now we have hope. The next morning, they presented their findings to the Earth Science Council and Lumi representatives who had traveled to Earth for the occasion. The meeting room was crowded with humans and aliens, all watching as Mai and Tello explained their discovery. By reactivating the natural repair systems that Lumi ancestors turned off, we've restored cellular health, Mai explained, showing slides of their results. Tello continued. The treatment also significantly improves reproductive function. In our tests, treated Lumi cells showed over 3 times normal fertility rates. The Lumi High Counselor, a tall figure with deep purple skin, leaned forward. How soon can this treatment be adapted for use in living Luma? We need to run safety tests, Mai cautioned. But if those go well, perhaps 6 months. The room erupted in discussions. Human scientists asked technical questions while Lumi representatives spoke rapidly in their musical language. The head of the Earth Science Council raised a hand for quiet. Dr. Mai and Specialist Tello have achieved something remarkable here. This collaboration shows what our species can accomplish together. After the presentation, as people crowded around to offer congratulations, Mai noticed that Tello had stepped away from the group. She found the Lumi standing by a window, looking out at the city. "Are you okay?" she asked. Tello's skin had taken on a pattern Mai hadn't seen before, with swirling circles of light. "In my culture, we do not have a word for what I am feeling," Tello said softly. The closest translation might be profound gratitude mixed with disbelief. Mai smiled. "Humans call that feeling overwhelmed." "Yes, overwhelmed," Tello repeated. "For 10 generations, my people have watched our birth rates decline. Your human resilience will save us. I never thought this day would come." Later that day, as news of their breakthrough spread around the world, Mai and Tello received a message from the Lumi homeworld. They were invited to travel there to help implement the treatment for the Lumi population. "Will you come?" Tello asked. No human has ever visited the Lumi homeworld before. Mai thought about the busy lab in Seoul, her small apartment, her regular life. Then she looked at Tello. the alien who had become her friend and colleague. "Of course I'll come," she said. "We started this together. We should finish it together." That evening, as they sat in the apartment preparing for their journey to the stars, Mai realized how much her life had changed since Tello arrived. She had helped solve a crisis for an alien species. She was about to travel to another world. And she had found friendship in the most unexpected place. "I have a question," Tello said as they packed. "Why did you agree to have an alien roommate? Many humans refused." Mai thought for a moment. "I believe science works best when different minds come together. I never imagined how different those minds could be, but the principle is the same." Tello's skin glowed warmly. "The universe is fortunate that you think that way." The journey to the Lumi homeworld took 3 weeks. Mai spent most of that time looking out the ship windows at the stars and strange planets they passed. She was the first human to travel this far from Earth. When they arrived, Mai was amazed by the beauty of the Lumi planet. Tall silver buildings rose from purple forests. The sky was a deep green color that made everything look magical. "Welcome to my world," Tello said as they stepped off the ship. "You are the first human to ever walk here." A group of important Lumi officials waited to greet them. They wore special robes that caught the light and changed color with each movement. Mai noticed they kept their distance from her. "They are not sure what to think of you," Tello explained quietly. "Many Lumi have never seen a human before." The High Counselor stepped forward and spoke through a translator. "Dr. Mai, we thank you for your work to help our people. We have prepared a research facility where you and Tello can continue your important work." Mai bowed slightly. "Thank you for welcoming me to your beautiful world." They were taken to a large building in the center of the city. Inside was a lab more advanced than anything Mai had seen on Earth. The equipment was strange, but Tello helped her understand how everything worked. For the first few days, everything went well. They began testing their treatment on volunteer Lumi who desperately wanted children. The early results looked promising. Then one morning, they arrived at the lab to find a crowd outside. About 50 Lumi stood in front of the building holding signs written in their language. "What do the signs say?" Mai asked. Tello's skin darkened with concern. "They say things like, 'Keep Lumi DNA pure,' and 'No human contamination.'" Mai felt a chill. "They're protesting our work." "Yes. News has spread about how the treatment uses human genetic principles. Some Lumi are afraid it will change who we are." As they tried to enter the building, a tall Lumi stepped in front of them. "Stop this dangerous experiment," he said in perfect English. "You will destroy what makes us Lumi." Tello moved protectively in front of Mai. "Niven, this treatment will save our people. It doesn't change Lumi identity." "Lies," Niven said. "This human wants to breed her species with ours. We would rather die out than become human Lumi hybrids." "That's not what we're doing at all," Mai tried to explain. "We're just fixing what was broken in your own genes. Everything comes from Lumi DNA." Security guards arrived and cleared a path for them to enter the lab. Inside, Mai's hands shook as she put on her lab coat. "I'm sorry about that," Tello said. "Not all Lumi think this way." "It's okay. Humans would probably react the same way if aliens came to fix our genes." That night in her guest quarters, Mai watched the news on a Lumi screen. The protests had grown larger. On some channels, Lumi experts debated whether the treatment was safe or dangerous. A knock came at her door. It was Tello, looking worried. "The High Council wants us to speak at a public meeting tomorrow," Tello said. "They think if we explain the treatment clearly, it will calm people's fears." The next day, they stood before a large crowd in a circular building like an arena. Thousands of Lumi sat in seats that rose up around them. Cameras broadcast their words across the planet. Mai felt very small and very alien. Her dark hair and eyes, her pale skin, everything about her looked strange among the blue Lumi. Some in the crowd stared at her with all 4 eyes, never blinking. The High Counselor introduced them. These two scientists have created a treatment that may save our species from extinction. We will now hear from them directly. Tello spoke first, explaining in the musical Lumi language how the treatment worked. Yun-Mi couldn't understand the words, but she could see that some in the audience nodded while others shook their heads. Then it was Yun-Mi's turn. She stepped forward, her voice amplified through translators. "I understand your fears," she began. "You worry that using human genetic knowledge will make you less Lumi. But that's not how this works." She showed simple images on the big screens. "Think of it this way. If your house had a broken door, and I showed you how to fix it using a tool from Earth, would your house become an Earth house? No, it would still be your house, just with a working door." Some of the Lumi leaned forward, interested. "Your ancestors turned off certain genes because they thought it would make you better. We now know this was a mistake. All we're doing is turning those genes back on. Everything comes from your own Lumi DNA." From the audience, Niven stood up. "But you use human techniques, human methods. This will change us." Before Yun-Mi could answer, an older Luma with pale blue skin rose slowly from her seat. "I am Elder Sola," she said in a voice that carried through the hall. "I have lived through 3 generations of watching our people fade away. I have seen the pain of young Luma who cannot have children." The crowd grew quiet, showing respect for the elder. "Long ago, I opposed the genetic changes our ancestors made. They thought they were making us perfect. Instead, they made us fragile. If human knowledge can undo this mistake, we should welcome it." After the meeting, many Lumi came forward to speak with them. Some still looked doubtful, but others wanted to volunteer for the treatment. "You did well," Tello told Yun-Mi as they left. "Elder Sola's support means a lot. She is highly respected." Outside, the protesters still gathered, but there were fewer than before. As Yun-Mi walked past them, one young Lumi stepped forward. "I want to have children someday," she said quietly. "Will your treatment really help?" Yun-Mi nodded. "We believe it will." "Then I don't care if it uses human science," the young Lumi said. "I just want a chance at a family." As they walked back to the lab, Yun-Mi realized that despite the resistance, they were making progress. Not everyone would accept their work right away, but for many Lumi, hope was stronger than fear. 5 years had passed since Yun-Mi first came to the Lumi homeworld. She stood by a large window in the newly built Human Lumi Medical Center, watching the twin suns rise over the purple forests. Behind her, Tello approached with 2 cups, 1 coffee for her and 1 blue Lumi drink. "Today is the day," Tello said, handing Yun-Mi her coffee. "Are you ready?" Yun-Mi nodded, taking a sip of the warm drink. "I can hardly believe it's been 5 years." After their breakthrough, they had worked tirelessly to perfect the treatment. The first year had been the hardest, with ongoing protests and doubts from many Lumi. But as the first successful treatments began to show results, opposition slowly faded. "Remember how angry Niven was?" Yun-Mi asked with a small smile. "Now he's one of our biggest supporters." Tello's skin rippled with amusement. "Yes, after the treatment helped his sister have the first healthy baby, he changed his mind completely." They walked together down a long hallway toward the center special wing. Today was important, the official opening of the first Lumi nursery in over 50 years. Before their treatment, Lumi babies had become so rare that nurseries were no longer needed. As they approached the nursery, they saw a crowd had already gathered. Lumi families pressed close to the viewing windows, their skin glowing with excitement. High council members stood nearby in their formal robes. Even Elder Sola had come, despite her advanced age. The doors slid open, and a Lumi doctor invited them inside. "The parents want you both to enter first," she explained. They insisted. Yun-Mi felt tears form in her eyes as they stepped into the nursery. 24 small cribs filled the room, each one holding a tiny blue Lumi baby. The infant's skin glowed and pulsed with the bright patterns of healthy Lumi children. 24 babies in 1 month, Tello whispered. 5 years ago, we had only 17 in an entire year. Yun-mi moved closer to look at the nearest baby. Its 4 tiny eyes opened and blinked at her in sequence, a perfect Lumi reflex. The baby's small hands reached up, skin glowing brighter when it saw her face. "They're beautiful," Yun-mi said softly, "and completely Lumi." "Yes," Tello agreed, just with a touch of human resilience in their genes. The High Counselor entered the nursery and approached them. Over the years, his initial coldness toward Yun-mi had warmed to deep respect. "Dr. Yun-mi, Specialist Tello, this day belongs to you as much as to these children," he said formally. "The council has decided to name this facility the Chen Tello Center for Life to honor your work." Outside in the hallway, the families were being allowed in to see their babies. Yun-mi and Tello stepped aside to give them space. They watched as new Lumi parents held their children for the first time, their skin glowing with joy. One young mother approached Yun-mi, holding her baby carefully. "This is my daughter, Mela," she said. "I named her after the Earth word for miracle that you taught me." Yun-mi smiled, touched by the gesture. She is indeed a miracle. As they left the nursery, they passed through the main lobby of the medical center. A large screen showed news from across the galaxy. A report was playing about the success of the Lumi fertility treatment and how it had changed relations between humans and aliens throughout the coalition. Dozens of species now seek human partners for research projects, the news announcer said. The success of the Lumi treatment has transformed humanity's standing in the galactic community. Outside, they walked through gardens where Lumi and human plants grew side by side, an experiment Yun-mi had started in her free time. Purple Lumi flowers twisted around Earth roses, creating beautiful new patterns. "The Earth Science Council sent a message this morning," Tello said as they sat on a bench. "They want to know if you plan to return home soon." Yun-mi looked up at the green sky. "What did you tell them?" "I said I would ask you," Tello replied. "But I hope you will stay. There is still much work to do here." Yun-mi had thought about Earth often during the past 5 years. She missed the blue sky, the familiar foods, and the sound of her own language. But the Lumi world had become a second home to her. "I want to stay," she decided. "The first generation of babies is just the beginning. We need to make sure the treatment continues to work as they grow up." Tello's skin brightened with happiness. "The council will be pleased. They have approved plans for a new research wing where we can train Lumi and human scientists to work together." That evening, they attended a celebration in the city center. Thousands of Lumi gathered in the main square. Food and drinks from both worlds were served as musicians played a combination of Lumi and human music. Yun-mi found herself standing next to Elder Sola, who now needed a hover chair to move around. "When I was young," the elder said, "I watched my friends try and fail to have children. I thought I would see the end of our species in my lifetime. I'm glad you lived to see this day instead," Yun-mi replied. Elder Sola's skin glowed softly. "My people have a saying, 'Those who give life become family.' You are family to all Lumi now." As the celebration continued, Yun-mi watched Lumi children playing games in the square. Some were from the few births before the treatment, now 5 years older. Others were from the first successful treatment groups, starting to grow and thrive. Tello joined her, pointing to the stars visible in the green evening sky. "The coalition has asked us to share our research with other species facing similar problems." "Really? Which ones?" "The Varan people in the Cygnus system, and the Morai from the Outer Rim," Tello said. "Both have requested our help specifically." Yun-mi smiled as she watched a small Lumi child chase a floating light toy. "We should invite scientists from both worlds to join us here." A multi-species research center. Tello considered the idea. That would be unprecedented. So was a human-Lumi partnership, Yun-mi pointed out. "Look what we accomplished together." As night fell fully on the Lumi world, the buildings lit up with soft light. Yun-mi looked around at the city that had become her home, at the people she had helped save, and at her friend Tello who had changed her life forever. What had begun as a simple roommate arrangement had created a new future for an entire species. And somewhere in that nursery, a baby named Mila was sleeping peacefully, proof that sometimes the most unlikely partnerships created the greatest miracles.